In this chess video, we are going to learn one of the most stunning chess openings for white, that is the Vienna opening. So let's begin with e4. Most common reply comes e5. Here, except for playing knight or the bishop, like in the previous video we did, we are going to play something different, that is knight to c3. Here black plays knight to f6. Now we are going to play something different, that is f4. If black accepts it, then we push our pawn from e4 to e5. Now observe carefully. Black's knight can move over these squares, but all these squares have been occupied. So black has only to g8. Now we begin with development by playing knight to f3. Here black plays d6, basically for exchanging the pawn and also for playing bishop to g4 and to pin the knight. Here we play d4. Here again we begin. If black takes the pawn, then we won't take it back. But except for that, we would be playing bishop b5 check. And the best move comes c6. Here we play bishop to c4. And if black takes the pawn hanging, then you may be observing that our knight is in danger. And also, we have lost 3 pawns. So, we would be taking the pawn at f4 via bishop, and we would be sacrificing our knight. It is a blunder. Why? Because after bishop check over the king, if king accepted, then it loses the queen. If it doesn't accept and move to e7, now many of you would be thinking bishop to g5 is the best move. But no, if white plays bishop to g5, knight to f6. So here we must play queen e2 check. If it don't accept, then it is a blunder. Why? Because black would be losing the queen. And if it plays king to d7, then we would be doing the checkmate. And if it plays bishop to e6, because there's a checkmate, so the only option comes to take the bishop. Here we play knight to e5 check. Now if king moves any of these 3 squares, so we would be playing knight c6 check, and also black would be losing the queen. Let's take another example. If it plays king to f6, here we are going to play the brilliant move, that is bishop to g5 check. And if king moves any of these square, then black loses the queen. So it has to capture it. Now here comes the brilliant fork. Can you find it? Yes, you are right. Knight to f7 check. Brilliant fork. Here, black king moves to any of these available squares. These squares are available. f6. Here we take the queen. Now look at your position. Your position is better than black's position. Also going to win the game very quickly. Coming back to our position. Here we can see that black's knight is under danger. So black tries to become over smart by playing queen to e7, because white cannot be able to take the knight. So don't worry guys. In this position you can play queen to e2. Now black's knight has no other option to move to g8. Now you can all observe that queen to x4 check is one of the early queen attack. So for avoiding it, we must develop our knight by playing knight to f3. Now, black plays d6 again basically for attacking the pawn as well as for pinning the knight. Now, don't worry, just play normal. Like try to find a great move. Yes, you are right. The right move is knight to d5. As it not only threatens the queen but also it threatens the pawn at c7. So if black queen comes to e6, then it is a blunder because black loses the queen. And if queen comes to d7, so we can do another great sacrifice, that is knight sacrifice. And if queen accept it, then it is a blunder. Why? Because we are going to win the opponent's queen. Till the time, I request you all to please join my lichess team as well as the membership. Coming back to our position, here we played queen e2 basically for making attack over the knight, and you can observe black knight has no other option to move except back to g8. So here black plays knight to g8. Now as you know, queen x4 check is one of the early queen attack. So for avoiding it we must play knight to f3. Now I told you about d6. Here we are going to study more about knight to c6. So here let's continue with knight to c6. Now we can play d4 for making strong connection of two pawns. Now if black tries to play d6 for basically opening the bishop, again you can repeat the same activity. Same. If queen comes here, then you can again sacrifice. Same activity. You can repeat. Coming back to our position. What if black doesn't capture this pawn? So black plays basically two moves, that is d6 or knight to c6. Let's begin with knight to c6. Don't worry, just capture the pawn. Knight captures the pawn. Here we play d4 for attacking the pawn. Now let's play that knight goes to g6. Here we play e5. Basically for creating the attack over the knight. Now this knight has only one option to go to g8. So after it goes to g8, don't worry, just develop your knight. Basically knight f3. Stop the early queen attack. Here black continues with d6. We will be playing bishop c4 basically for development of bishop and to make our king safe. And do not look over any of the attacks. Just focus on development of the game. Here black captures, we do castling. Now black captures another pawn. Now can you find out a brilliant move? Correct. Knight to g5 is the brilliant move. Why? Because it creates an attack over the f7 pawn. Not only the knight but also the rook and the bishop also create the attack and also makes your position better. Coming back to our position, what if black played d6? So let's look upon it. Let's start by developing the knight. Here, black played knight to c6, which is an excellent move according to computer analysis. We played bishop to b5, basically for opening the knight. Here, black played bishop to d7 for protecting the knight as well as to stop the pin. We continued with d3 to open the bishop and to protect his pawn if it takes it. Here, after black played bishop e7, which is an inaccuracy. Here we continued with attacking the knight and basically for creating the pressure over the center. If it takes, capture, capture, capture. Now look at your position. you are having extra pawn, and as well as you can castle and keep the rook at f5 and can also attack. And this creates and also it also increases the chance of winning. Let's come back to our position. Here we discussed knight to f6. Now what if black plays knight to c6? So don't worry, just develop your bishop and increasing the chance of winning. What if black starts copying you? So black copies by playing bishop to c5. Here, can you find out a stunning move? Yes, queen to g4. Queen to g4. Why? Because you are also attacking over the pawn at g7. Also, you are going to win the game very easily. Here you will be. Here black continues with queen to f6, basically for protecting the pawn and also to make the attack over the f2 pawn. And guys, look it carefully. There is no checkmate if queen attacks the pawn at f2. Come on, try to find out what white can do. Yes, knight to d5. It is a best move. Why? Because you are not only attacking the queen, but also you are attacking g7 pawn. Now, if black tries to take this pawn, then we would be protecting it here. If you all are thinking playing queen to f1, then it is a blunder because it is going to lose the queen. So let's begin. d6. He played this basically for making attack over the queen. So we start continuing by taking the pawn at g7 and to make the attack over the rook. Here black continued with bishop to e6. Now don't be in a hurry to capture the rook. Try to find out what you can do. Knight to x2. Basically for attacking the queen. Here black takes the knight. Now don't capture it. Try playing rook to f1. Again making the attack. Not only in the queen. Now you are going to attack also at the f7 pawn. And the checkmate has come. So finally here comes the checkmate. Coming back to this position. Here, what if black doesn't take the knight? So basically you all can see that knight is making the attack over the queen. So it is important for black to move the queen back. Here queen comes to x4. Now again a nice move, that is knight to c7 check. Here you are going to win the rook as well and look at your position. Your position is better than black's position and you are quite near to win the game. Coming back to our position. Here, if it doesn't take the pawn at g7, and except for that, black protects it by playing g6. It is a blunder. Why? Because if we play knight to x3, then it also attacks the queen. And believe me, there is no safe squares left. Only safe square left is d4. So queen move to d4. Here we are going to play d3 basically for protecting the bishop. Now the main threat is to play c3 and to create the attack over the queen. The diagonal of queen has been trapped and queen is quite near to death. Come on guys, this video deserves a like. So please like this video, share and subscribe.